Welcome to Event Experience by Bizzabo, the podcast where we bring the best and brightest event experience leaders together to share stories, tips, and lessons learned from creating some of the world's biggest events. I'm Rachel Moore, your podcast host. If you've chosen audio only for this particular episode, take my advice and watch this one on Bizzabo's YouTube channel, because we're about to embark on an AI masterclass full of show and tell. This special episode features the contents of our recent webinar with Chris Duke, head of brand experiences at Glean, and a hands-on approach to skill building in using AI. Chris demonstrates various tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gamma for tasks such as generating event briefs, visualizing booth designs, and creating post-event analytics, ultimately highlighting AI's potential to save time and improve efficiency. Emphasis on experience in this episode of Event Experience. Hi, everyone. We are so glad you're all here. I am Rachel Moore. I'm the host of Bizzabo's Event Experience podcast, and I'm also thrilled to be your guide through our webinars, including today's. If this is your first Bizzabo webinar, you're in for something special. We're going to go off the beaten path here a little bit. This isn't just another talk about AI. Today is a guided workshop designed to help you build real skills right here in real time. So please let me be the first to welcome you to the Event Pros AI Masterclass. We're all going to be masters at the end of this. This webinar will be available on demand for your convenience, but you're going to get much more of it if you're going live with us right now. We're going to be sharing the resources that our guest is going to walk us through today, so you'll have everything you need at your disposal to be an AI expert. As we know, AI is reshaping event marketing at every level, from planning and content creation to post-event analysis. But we all know that tools alone don't solve problems, systems can solve them. Today's session is all about turning AI into a strategic partner that helps you and your team do more with less. Can I get an amen to that? That's what everybody wants. And a quick disclaimer, today is going to be a bit different in how we approach this session, because I am going to play the explain it to me like I'm 5 buddy as we witness the ways AI can and should be working for us in event planning. So just know I'm your avatar for being like, oh gosh, please make me understand this because I need it. With that in mind, our collective goal today is to equip you with knowledge and practical tips that are going to help you first learn how to integrate AI across your entire event workflow, from ideation to post-event analysis, to create lasting impact instead of just one-off wins. Also, we're going to discover how to write clear and effective prompts that produce consistent on-brand results while saving time and reducing revisions. This is going to be my Achilles heel that I'm so excited about. And we're going to explore how to build and apply simple AI tools, templates, and workflows that automate everyday tasks and help your team scale its output. Now, without further ado, let's begin our journey. To walk us through all of this, I am thrilled to introduce someone who's been putting this into practice with some of the most innovative event teams out there. It is my pleasure to welcome Chris Duke, head of brand experiences at Glean. Chris is the head of brand experiences leading global events, live productions, brand advertising campaigns, and executive and customer engagements. He's previously driven event and brand initiatives at Greylock Venture Partners, Robinhood, Rubrik, GoPro, and Red Bull, creating experiences that connect audiences through creativity and storytelling. His expertise spans experiential marketing, sports marketing, and large-scale brand activations. On long event days, he's wearing Nikes with inserts. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for joining us today for this awesome workshop.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. The inserts thing, I just realized makes me sound like I'm getting old.
Oh, please. I want everybody, if you have inserts in your shoes that you wear, half of our family does. So no, those are lifesavers. So it's all good.
Back problems are real. So
that's right. Well, let's get started. I'm really excited about this. I'm sure we're all just chomping at the bit. Now, before we do though, we want to dive into our key topics today, but let's start off by checking in with you, our dear audience. We know AI is a big topic. It's literally the topic, right? And everyone's journey with using it looks a little bit different. So we'd love to ask you all, which areas would you like the most help with today? So we've got a poll up there, creating event content with AI tools. Is that where you need your help? Maybe it's using AI for data insights and post-event analysis. Perhaps you need help with automating repetitive planning tasks. Those things you're like, oh my God, I do this all the time and spend so much time doing it. Can it take it off my plate? Or maybe you want to train teams to adopt AI effectively. You might have a team where you're like, y'all, we got to be using this. Chris, do you have any guesses maybe for what might be the weak link for people as far as like what they're going to vote for the most to get help with today?
I think the automating repetitive planning tasks, I think that's a part of our job in events that everyone like despises, but it's like necessary evil we have in our role. I think the beauty of events though is they are relatively like new and fresh a lot of the time, but there are the same like year over year events. So I think the repetitive task is probably one of those things. But personally, as someone who's like leans more onto the creative side, I think like making event content, the new creative tools that are coming out, like some of those things as well are really interesting. So that's
let's not hold ourselves in anticipation anymore. Let's see the poll. Oh, you were right. That first one nailed it. The automating repetitive planning tasks. That seems to make the most sense. And if at least it's a great place to start, right? Let me start freeing up more of that time so I can figure it out, right?
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for answering the poll. The great part is we're literally going to tackle all of this today. So this is going to be so great. So let us get into the discussion. And I promise y'all, I'm talking the most right now because from here on out, it's mostly going to be Chris and he's going to be taking over. But first, let's get something out of the way. The myth, nay, the threat that AI is going to take jobs away from the people who design and execute events. And yes, I'm talking to you, dear audience. As Chris is going to demonstrate today, AI is not your job stealer. It's your assistant. And quite frankly, it can be your first go-to resource when you're about to tackle crucial aspects of your work. And that, my friends, probably requires a bit of a mind shift we need to do together. Be like, okay, really? Can it really do this? And with that, I'm going to say it's time for masterclass. Chris, take it away. I think you have stuff to share with us today, and I'm going to let you take it. Go for it.
Definitely. Yeah, we're going to get through all of that. We're going to talk about those mindless tasks. We're going to talk about agents. We're going to talk about pretty much everything across the board, and even in getting into some of the creative suite stuff that I talked about a little bit. So excited to get into it.
And I think you're going to show and tell a bit. One thing to show us right off the bat, like, I mean, it's morning for me. I don't know what time it is for people based on your time zones and stuff, but let's all like think about like, okay, when I first start my day, do I think about AI right out the gate? I mean, do you do that? Do you start your day with AI?
I have been, this is a shift that we all need to take, right? We've used AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude and some of these other tools to like work. We try to like speed up our work. But the mind shift set like that we need to like move to is how do I become maybe AI first? And so I need to start rethinking the way that I'm going to start my day even, as well as getting through the rest of my day. So it takes a little time. It takes practice to kind of get into the mindset that I need to shift the way that I work. So for me, the one thing that I do now is I start my day using the agent, which we'll talk about agents in a little bit, but to start my day, I'm actually not going to run this because it has all my like private information on it. But essentially what I do is I go here. Hunter is on our sales team here. He made this agent. He created it. And basically what it does, it takes all my information that I have throughout the day and it sends me a Slack DM or an email with everything that I have going on, the objectives of those meetings. It'll look at my Slack messages. It'll look at my emails as well. And it will curate basically everything that it thinks is high priority for the day. And that's how I start my day. I also use things like the Glean Daily Digest. Again, I work at Glean, so the tools that I have available to me are Glean. I also have access to ChatGPT and Claude and some of the creative tools as well, but I use Glean a lot because that's the tool that I have internally because that's where I work. You may have different tools at your companies. You may have different access to different things. So again, take advantage of what you have. But I use the Glean Daily Digest in Slack, which gives me, while I'm driving, I have almost a 2-hour commute every day to get to work. And so I listen to my Daily Digest in Slack and it gives me a voice note of all the Slacks and things and channels that I have going off that I missed maybe throughout the night or the day before. So I look at that and then I run this agent to start my day.
I would, yeah. So as far as that goes too, so like you said, it's integrating into all these different tools. And I know we're going to get into that a little bit because that just sounds, that sounds super complex to me. And remember, I'm the I'm 5 person, but like, 100%. I'm assuming then I want to ask a question. I mean, it's like, okay, well, I don't know how to maybe integrate all those things. Does AI like help you integrate things together so it actually talks to all those systems together?
Definitely. These like enterprise AI tools especially do a lot of the connecting by themselves. You use API connections through different, Salesforce, Slack, Gmail, Google Docs, whatever that is. And so your IT team, if you're in an enterprise, you need to have an enterprise account for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Things like ChatGPT and Claude, I think the word context is being used a lot right now. And context is really important for AI. Whether you're prompting it correctly, you need to give AI context, and sometimes it's built in natively. So like a tool like Glean or any of these other enterprise AI tools will have context to your company data. But if you're using just like a personal account for ChatGPT or Claude, you definitely need to give it context because it doesn't have access to those systems natively.
Got it. I have a feeling this might come into play too, as you're going to show us some stuff, because I think what we wanted to see was if you could show us a use case in real time. This is a great example though, because I think this does kind of tackle, the daily, hey, tell me what my day is going to look like. Who doesn't want that? It feels like, oh my gosh, I've got like my own personal assistant that's helping me prioritize and stuff. But I also want to ask for that use case in real time. I think something that a lot of our audience probably deals with are campaign briefs. Like, let me give you a scenario. Like, if a company CMO asks a person in this audience, hey, create an event campaign brief. I need to simulate attendee journeys. I need to craft some tailored messaging for the specific campaign. And I even need to visualize booth designs. Can you show us how to be AI first and approach, like if we get asked for that event campaign brief, how to proceed?
Sure. Yeah. When we're talking about those like repeatable tasks that we do every day, making briefs and creating messaging docs is all part of our role in events. You're not just logistics. You're not just in the ERCs, checking boxes and putting in, uploading files. Like, you own the event, you own the project. And so we also need to do a better job at taking the time to step outside of our comfort zone a little bit and learn how to write briefs, work on messaging, take the first pass at all of this, and AI really helps us do that. So again, I'm using Glean here, but you could use ChatGPT or Claude or anything. The benefit of using an enterprise tool as well is there is context is here, so I don't have to give it as much because it has access to all my planning docs, my slides, and everything that I've already worked on. But if you were in ChatGPT, for example, you might want to add more information. You may want to attach a file or something like that may have like some planning slides or any other information that you can give it. So the context, again, really important. But the one thing that I'm going to do, because I could spend 2 hours writing a first pass at a brief, just kind of staring at my screen, wondering what words are going to come out. Basically, what I would do is I would prompt this. Again, prompting is really important, and we'll talk about it as throughout the day. But essentially, I need to give the AI tool a job, which sounds kind of weird. But I want this to start thinking about it as you're a member of the strategic events team at Glean. That's the lens in which I need this to operate through. I'm going to write a sample event brief for AWS reInvent. That's an event that's coming up for a lot of event marketers that work in B2B. I need to map attendee journeys, craft tailored messaging, and visualize booth designs. Not every tool and large language model has access to creative tools. So again, what you'll see is there's actually, and we'll talk about this, that humans need to intervene with these tools a lot, because what I'll show you is that we don't have access to image generation right now. But given that these things take time to run and we are limited on time here, I've ran this one already ahead of time. So basically what it does is it writes a whole brief for me about AWS reInvent, who the audience framework is, tailored messaging, role-based value messages, attendee journeys, content and offerings, booth designs. So booth design concept. This is just a random screenshot it pulled. It's called a hallucination. It's like, this is not a booth design. This is a screenshot from my user conference that I run that's running on demand right now. So that doesn't make any sense. So that's completely unnecessary. But I would rather have this first pass with some kind of junk in there where I can then hop over. I can ask it to build a Google Doc with headings. And then I click share, export to docs, and it would generate this Google Doc for me now that I have a full pass at a brief. It took 2 minutes. There's a lot of stuff in here I need to fix. But again, I'd rather be in edit mode than starting from scratch. Even just like formatting it with all the tabs, like it's all documented nicely over here. It's organized and it's well thought out. And but there's some stuff in here that I need to fix. So again, editing is better than creating in the day and age where we need to work fast and we have less headcount and the days go by quick and we don't want to work till 10 p.m. every night. So again, this is a good example of that. So again, good example of a brief in 5 minutes.
No, that's really good. I wanted to ask you too. So like you mentioned prompts already. And context. I know you've mentioned that a few times. Can you guide us through, because this is all great. I mean, it's great to get this, but I think we're all then worried about like, well, great. Can I turn around, even if I'm going to tweak it and edit it, how much more tweaking do I have to do to make it sure it sounds like it's my voice or something, or our brand's voice? How does context work, and how do you know what to provide to the chat?
Yeah, prompting is like the most critical part of working with an AI tool. Like it doesn't work unless you prompt it correctly. I think everyone here can probably resonate with putting something into one of these tools and then just being like, that's horrible. Like that's just wasted 2 minutes of my life I'll never get back. And so learning how to prompt really well, giving an AI tool context is really, really helpful. So there's 5 things when I think about prompting that is really important. So one is, who is the AI acting as? So again, earlier you saw I wrote, you're a member of the strategic events team at Glean. So that's the important to give the AI tool a role so that again, it has the lens and the framework of what it's going to do when it comes out with its response. You want to give it a task. So that would be like me saying, I need an event brief with X, Y, and Z. How should it deliver the result? One of the things I failed to do in that one was I forgot to say that I want it in a Google Doc format. So I actually had to go back and say, okay, put this into a Google Doc format. So if I would have just done that from the beginning, I would have had a response from the beginning. So that would have saved me another minute. So that's on me. I'm still learning myself. The tone and the audience, another thing that you can always add. This is, context and tone and audience is a little bit, it's not necessary, it's not required. But the thing that you can do is you can say like, who is this for? Because then that may change the language. I may say this brief is actually for my CMO versus maybe the product marketing team. So if the product marketing team is the audience for it, it may be more technical in nature. Whereas if it's for the CMO, it may be more outcomes driven in nature. So that's really important as well to give it, to know who the audience that it's going to write the answer for. And then what's the vibe too is just like, I'm a vibes guy. So I always like to say, hey, make this brief or, make this really punchy. I think that's also important because when you talk about personalization and context, personalization for me, it may not seem like it right now, but I'm actually not very long-winded. I like to keep things pretty short. I like 15-minute meetings instead of 30-minute meetings. And so for me, I like to make everything really tight. And then for context, again, this is optional, but it could be your brand guide where you have certain attributes or tones or colors that you want to include in things, or product information, because again, not everyone has an enterprise AI tool. So it's really important that you're uploading non-confidential information to ChatGPT. I think that's critical to talk about too, is definitely don't want to put any critical or confidential information into these public AI tools. It's just, we don't know what the world is like right now, and you got to be careful with stuff like that. So
that's a great tip too. Yeah. It really does come down to like, and for anyone who's watching this too today and be like, okay, I've been thinking about making sure my team is set up with like an enterprise tool internally. Yeah. That's a good consideration to have. Be like, well, how free do we want to be with like some of the more proprietary or confidential stuff versus, just go use your go set up a free ChatGPT accounts. Well, don't go put company data into that then, right? So you definitely want to keep that separation.
And there's a way you can balance that too, right? There's a difference between like non-confidential information that would help you do your job better versus like, maybe you don't want to upload your product roadmap for the next 2 years into it, or I don't know, anything that's, you definitely don't want to do that. But it's also a call to action for everyone here. Like if you don't have an access to an enterprise AI tool and you work at a company that's over 50 employees, you should be talking to your CTO, CEO, CMO saying we need to take advantage of these tools. So there's a lot out there and you should be an advocate for that.
Good call. Yeah. Well, and I know we've got a lot to show today, so we're going to move on to what we've already teased out. We mentioned the word agent. Okay. I know personally when I hear the word agent, maybe we've got specific characters or avatars that come to mind. I think of Agent Smith from The Matrix, which probably is not the theme we're aiming for here. He's a bad dude. But agent, as in an AI agent, is what we're aiming for and what we can use to catapult us into untold automated processes, that heavy lifting of work that can happen in the background while we get to focus elsewhere. So Chris, I know you're going to talk to us about agents, and I think a whole reason we wanted you to do this workshop with us is you just presented at SEMA, and our CMO was blown away, and the entire audience was as well, with workflow examples of AI agents acting as virtual teammates. We'd love to get some wow factor from you now, if we can, with one or two of those examples, so we can see how does this AI agent work for us.
Sure, no problem. I'll do my best to wow. So agents are basically, they help you with like repeatable tasks. And we talked, that was in the poll, which is really important. agents work autonomously. They also work on demand. Basically, what agents do is you can set up a workflow. So instead of using like a prompt and going to ChatGPT and typing a one-off thing into some type of an assistant tool, agents are something that helps create repeatable things over and over again. And so you build a workflow once, and then you can use it over and over again. So I'll give a couple of examples. One on like a very practical example of a session builder and speaker bio agent. So I need to write session names, right? Usually you have to go to product marketing and say, hey, we've got a session at reInvent coming up in December. I need a name for it. So this is actually going to help us do that. And it's also going to give us a speaker bio, because sometimes when you need a speaker bio, I don't know, you guys asked me for one. It took me like a week to get back to you. So maybe we could use this and it would have saved some time. So basically what an agent is, it has an input fields that you need to put in. So I'm going to give an example of we're going to AWS reInvent with their weird naming, the audience persona, a lot of developers at reInvent, and there's C-levels and like maybe like director plus technology leaders. The speaker name from at my company, I'm just going to use my CEO. So Arvind Jain, because again, some of these things take time to run. I have it pre-built already, but this is where I would put in Arvind's LinkedIn, any additional context as well. I built this one. This is something that I built. So I can actually show you the back end real quick before we run it, just to give you a little bit more information on how it works. Again, I have access to a Glean agent builder. There's Google Agent Space. There's ServiceNow. You guys all may have different tools. So this is the one that I have access to, but they work relatively similarly. So the key things that we need an agent to do is we need a trigger, which is the input fields to put all that information. So this is where I put the event name that I need, the persona, things like that. And then I need it to think. The think step is really important because this doesn't work unless it's thinking. So I need to analyze the event theme, the audience persona, take into consideration additional context for the specific event, speaker name, and LinkedIn profile to determine key topics, audience interest, speaker expertise, accomplishment style. So it basically uses web data, real life information, as well as your company data to create this agent output, which you'll see in a second. And then the respond feature, by the way, there's like 25 more features you can put in here. This is a very simple one, but respond feature is where you basically put the information in on how it's going to output the information that you just put into it from the trigger. So I want a very specific use case. I want 5 session titles. I need them under 60 characters each. For the speaker bio, I want it concise, but I want it to highlight certain parts of the background, right? What's cool about this is that if I was the speaker, the topics and the session names would be different than Arvind, our CEO, is very technical in nature, executive level person. He's going to have different outputs as the speaker. And then response style, you know me, factual, straight to the point, but you could do balanced, creative. And then you also, there's some technical information here if you need to get into that. So the output of that would be something like this. So we'd have, securing AI agents, next-gen cloud collaboration, from search to insight, transforming IT with AI, scaling innovation. Again, all these are like leadership heavy because Arvind's doing it, our CEO.
Yeah.
And here's a speaker bio right here. So I would probably run this by the comms team or whatever, but at least I took a first pass. So that's an example of running a really simple, easy, these agents, there's hundreds of them. So again, it's really important that we start to build these things to repeat some of the tasks that we have. But I can give you another example real quick of something that's just like very simple and mindless that I do every week as well, if that works.
Do it.
So every Thursday, my boss, Katie, sends me a Google Doc and tags me in it and is like, give your update. So I have to give an update to the team every week on what I worked on. So like my accomplishments, my blockers, and the key things that I have for next week. And that would take me an hour, probably. Normally.
Yeah.
This very mindless, simple ask takes an hour of my day on a Thursday that I need to share out with the rest of the organization about what are the things that I worked on. So again, I would have to go through my Gmail, my Slacks. I had to look at my old meeting. What happened on Monday? I don't even remember what happened on Monday. What am I working on right now? And so one of these things that I set up, again, if I look at my agent setup here, there's a trigger. It's going to read my personal activity and it's going to respond. And it's going to show what I accomplished this week, what blockers I have going on, and my upcoming task. So again, I can now copy and paste this. I can edit it, put it in Google Doc, and I'm done. So
Nice.
I'm going to take this off screen because that's actually what I accomplished this week, which wasn't much. So because it's Tuesday, but again, that's an example of an easy copy and paste. Those repeatable tasks that we talked about in the poll earlier that we can solve for, and we can move on to some more interesting and creative things throughout the week.
Everybody would love to get an hour back from these are necessary things we know we're required to do through the course of our work and our job, but it's like, but if it all lives in the tools we're using. If an assistant can go in, if an agent can go in and say, yeah, let me go round that up for you while you go do some other stuff, and now it's done, that just seems like a no-brainer. I want to ask a quick question too, because I know, and thank you so much too. I know you're emphasizing too, like this is based, a lot of our ability here can be based on what tools we currently have access to in our own environment. I just recently heard about Google Opal. I work in Google Workspace, and like Gemini is available to me, but apparently so is Google Opal. And this very much looked like it was just like a traditional workflow being set up. That's kind of how the agent works. But could you speak to that maybe a little bit? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I think, again, this is where we all need to be advocates internally of the tools or that we have or don't have. All of these agent builders and tools, some of them are really good and some are fine. I think it depends on who you ask or what you have or what the tool is itself. But this stuff is evolving so rapidly that the differentiator between these is going to start to get like smaller and smaller. And when one company does it really well, the other companies will follow suit. And so again, whether it's Google Agent Space or Opal, Gemini, ChatGPT Enterprise, ChatGPT, just normal one, Claude, all of these things are start to evolve. And there's just, I think certain companies have focuses right now. Like I can speak for Glean, agents are a huge focus of us because we're trying to, improve the life of the human worker. That's our goal. And I think a lot of these other companies that have Gemini, which is a consumer facing tool, or ChatGPT or Claude, are also seeing that as an opportunity for them. And so you'll start to see, if you already have access to those tools, that you'll start to have an agent builder like in your suite pretty soon, because these companies are building them essentially. Yeah.
Does this require a lot of coding ability? Like how much of a coder are you? I mean, in your team?
No, I built like MySpace pages when I was in high school, like with HTML. That was about it. It's about all I've ever done. This is all the beauty of AI tools right now. And you'll notice there's terms called vibe coding and all this stuff. But essentially, you can write in just natural English language. This is not something that I had to code. This is something I typed. There's even an enhanced feature here that makes it sound better than I even wrote it. So we don't need to worry about code. We don't need to worry about Java or Python or anything. You just write in normal human speak language. And that's the beauty of large language models, is they're trained on human English and other languages across the world. And so, it's all just normal talk. You don't have to worry about code at all.
You're getting so many reactions on the screen right now. I think people are like, oh, thank God.
You guys all build MySpace pages? Yeah. Same.
That's right. Well, okay. So speaking of, I love that you brought MySpace, because a lot of that came down to how our MySpace page looked. We'll be right back with more event experience after the break. Ever wished your event badge did more than just display your name? Whether you're an event organizer, exhibitor, or attendee, Bizzabo's Click Smart Badge transforms the event experience. From interactive networking to real-time attendee insights and lead capture, the Smart Badge is the ultimate game changer. Visit bizzabo.com/click. That's bizzabo.com/KLIK to learn more about the next generation of wearable event technology. Bizzabo, your partner for building conferences that captivate. We're back with Chris Duke, who is about to show us how AI can create visualizations for what's cooking in your brain. So y'all, we're going to get into visualization now. So I'm sure we've all, if we've even scrolled literally any social feed out there, AI generated images and videos are there. They're in our feeds. And now it's almost like, ooh, can I detect it or not, right? We can probably all remember the last one we saw. If it's safe for work, Gwen, feel free to describe it in the chat. But visualization tools are crucial for event planners. Everyone on this call, on this webinar, we need to plan and present what we have in mind. It's going to manifest in a three-dimensional, display for somebody to walk past, walk in, and et cetera. Chris, I'm going to ask you this question, because just like we just talked about everyone's ability with coding, I'd like to ask, do you consider yourself an artist?
think I'd like to consider myself an artist, but I mean, as you'll see in a second here, like I'm terrible. I got like chicken scratch for handwriting and I can't draw. And a big thing about being an event marketer is you do bring creative ideas to life. And that's been a challenge, I think, forever since I've been working.
Yeah.
At least I have these ideas in my head, but getting them down on paper is one thing, and then into like a CAD file, and then into like if you work in trade shows, like there's no better feeling when you're working a trade show booth when like you're about to be show ready and like everything's like squeaky clean and the booth looks good and the lights look good and everything. And so it's cool to see your ideas come to life, and that's the beauty of working at events. We're not here to just like crank out staffing sheets and stuff like that. There's the cool part about the job too is bringing, it's a physical representation of the brand that you work for. And whether that's a conference, a trade show, whatever that is, being show ready is a good feeling. And so, I think AI tools have given us the ability to like get things out of our head now and basically on paper and into email and into approvals. And we're moving way faster now as event marketers than we ever have. And a lot of that has to do with working with these AI tools, which we'll share in a second. So,
well, the second is here. Let's see it. Can you demonstrate how it can help with take what's out of your brain and make it into a visual concept?
So you asked me if I was an artist. I'm going to share behind the curtain here a little bit.
Thank you.
A booth design that we were talking about internally. We needed a new 10 by 20 booth. We built this great 10 by 20 by 20 for a trade show, but we needed a smaller one. We wanted it to look similar. And it was just trying to like get ideas out of my head and kind of, through meetings and stuff. So here's my example of what I drew. Okay. So you get the point. This is something that I would normally like draw and then like send to my agency to help me turn into like an actual like CAD file or a 3-dimensional thing to like get, again, my ideas. I did get it out of my head and onto this piece of paper, but that's not going to cut it. Like I would never send this to my CMO to like approve. So with good prompting, with some revisions and back and forth, I can turn this drawing into a booth that I actually had in my brain with the right colors, the right, materials. So I got some wood grain in there. I've got the logo correct. I see this and I look at it now, that's too many logos. So again, there's things, but like I would rather send this off than I would the chicken scratch. One, it's embarrassing. Two, there's like a lot of room for, interpretation. And this, now I can give this without being, I want to give creatives the ability to be creative, but I also know in the interest of time that if we can cut out some of the, the weeks of back and forth, this would probably have taken, this turnaround probably would have taken 5 business days to get something back from our agency. And now I'm turning it around in V1. They can take this, put it in the actual CAD file, make sure the specs are right and everything. But we've got a good starting point. So again, that's a good example of getting ideas out of your head. And I just did ChatGPT. This is just ChatGPT. I just uploaded this image. I gave it a good prompt. I explained down to like, hey, I want the cabinets to be wood grain. I want neon light bars around the edges. I want hard angles. I need a check-in desk, a small area for meetings, and then demos for.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. That this was actually a ChatGPT, which pretty much everybody has access to. Are there other tools out there that you would call like the best AI visualization tools that for, say, an event planner trying to do what you just demonstrated?
For sure. ChatGPT is now in 5. I had 4.0 on here, and now it's in 5. So these things are evolving rapidly. Sora, you've probably seen a lot of these like AI videos coming out, which are really just like stupid stuff with like your face on it. So it's not really like productive. But the OpenAI suite is very, very impressive. It works really fast. It's just really, really impressive. So I would definitely highly recommend the OpenAI suite for that across the natively in ChatGPT, but also using Sora. ChatGPT also had a tool called DALL-E, which is now just integrated into their platform. So you don't have to treat it as a standalone thing. But for naming narratives as, images, videos, that's all taken care of there. Runway and Midjourney are also some interesting tools that you can mess around with. They always give you free credits to go and try things. So I definitely would recommend just going and messing around. But Runway, you could do image and video generation. Midjourney, you can take a static image and bring it to life. So one thing I could do with that booth design is I could put it into Midjourney and I could say like add the experience of a trade show around it. And it would kind of like insert people like moving through it so I can think about the flow of the booth or maybe where they're coming from. Are they going to see a logo from the left or right side? Like you can get a little creative on how you think about, are you making the right decisions? And Midjourney is really helpful with bringing static images to life in short videos. And then Gamma, there's a lot of slide generation tools that are out right now. There will be more, I'm sure, in the next few months as well. But I personally really enjoyed using Gamma. Gamma is a tool that you can, and I'll actually show you here in a bit, but Gamma's basically it can take your natural language, your prompt or your output from a prompt from an AI tool, and then turn it into a storytelling deck, PowerPoint slide, a Google deck, whatever that is that you're using internally for your slides. Those are the 4 that I would definitely recommend for all event marketers to be using right now, but mainly the top 2.
That's great. No, this is so helpful. Thank you. I was even thinking too, like, as you know, like, okay, I know our booth space and I know what's going to be around, like maybe different vendors, or even like, hey, maybe the coffee or the snack booth or kiosk is going to be near us. And you can actually like, okay, great. Let's visualize how we can capitalize on that flow of people to make
100%.
Sure that the booth is open to that and receptive. So it's just a natural. So it just seems like such a great way to not just have to all, from your own brain say, okay, what am I not thinking of, but to really use these to say, no, let me see it and see it in action and, make some adjustments based on, this was great. It highlighted this opportunity for us.
Another example that I thought I would share with everyone was we got a new office space in San Francisco. I got asked to help build a stage for it internally. So for all hand spaces, live productions, things like that. And I wanted to just kind of help. I wanted to visualize it. I kind of wanted to get some approval for it. I don't have budget for an agency to help me with this besides the fabrication of it, but all the creative stuff we strapped internally, so we needed to do it ourselves. And so I took some photos of the office space. I gave it some example of an Anthropic event that I really liked. They recently did a launch event, and I just kind of liked the setup. I thought it was good and simple. And so I gave it this prompt. And again, you'll see things like who it's acting as. So you're a 3D designer. So it's thinking about the space as a 3-dimensional designer. I am giving it some context about this information of what this is. Again, this is all in ChatGPT. So this doesn't have access to my company data. So I have to provide as much information as possible to get a good response. If you don't do this, you're just going to get junk, and then you're just going to spend the next 45 minutes trying to figure it out. So it's better just do it right from the beginning, give it a really good prompt. I talked about the layout should feel clean, modern, integrated in existing office design. So we should be able to see desks in it, the ceiling pipes, there's muted colors. It's very simple. It's a brand new office. There's no decor or anything like that. And then again, use the attached image from the Anthropic event as a visual reference. So that's a really good prompt. And what I was able to do is help me generate this right away, immediately. It's not perfect, but it's a really good starting point for me to think about, okay, do I want to keep this pretty simple? Do I want to add more color to the stage? Do I want to keep it like this? Do we just want to focus on content and have a large screen there? Do I want a small stage, or, and how does the wood tone look in the more industrial office space that we have? And what's cool about this was I sent this to our CMO. So I did this in 10 minutes. I said, I was thinking something like this, some decor, maybe a little wider, but you get the point. He says, nice, I like it. Can we get it built by our offsite, which is in like 3 weeks? And that getting from this prompt with these photos to this, and he responded to me in like about 2 hours. Like that used to be a thing where I'd need to send it off to somebody. Yep. I'd get a rendering back. And then like I look at my CMO's calendar on like Thursday, we'd sit down and talk about it. He'd be like, this is terrible. Can we redo it again? So now we're into week 2. Like we just went from we just saved like a week and a half. And again, we had to talk about it. This is not what it ended up looking like. It ended up looking way better than this. But it did share like, hey, we can do this. Like we can build this space and it's going to look fine. So that's another example I just wanted to give. Yeah. Of some creative tools that we're able to get to from, not only just get like consensus, but we can even start to get approvals without meetings, without waiting a week, without waiting 2 weeks to, revisions back and forth. It's just, it's a really, really good asset that we have access to now.
I love that use case, and so many we can all relate, right? Where it's like, oh my God, just get us to yes faster, and it helped you do that. And thank you again too. That prompt is super key. I really appreciate that. I know we teed up the beginning of this whole demonstration, and everybody said, I want to get the repeatable tasks off my plate. That was like the biggest poll answer, right? And so far we've covered stuff that represents the actual event related work, but let's come full circle. We know there are those parts of our jobs that are complete snooze fests that nobody really wants to do. Data analysis, budget calculations, preparing weekly progress reports like you've demonstrated that maybe someone will glance at and maybe they won't. But this hopefully will be the most exciting part of today's session because we all might get back that thing that we never have enough of, which is time. Sure. So Chris, what's a more boring task or series of tasks that you are more than thrilled to hand off to AI to do for you? Please share it with us because we all want to do the same thing.
Yeah, totally. When the event ends, like event marketers know events don't end. It's just kind of the beginning. Sometimes what it feels like with all the what's ROI, what were the results, the feedback, you're dead tired after working a week and then you got to turn around a presentation deck in 48 hours because people want results and things. So some of the stuff that I like to automate and in a world in which events are always kind of moving, each project can be different. It's hard to find those repeatable tasks. The back end of events are something that can be very repeatable. Yeah. So I'm going to give you an example of using Claude. This is maybe something that I would actually build an agent for in the future where it can be repeatable. So I'm going to build that, one time and then I can use it over and over again. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to use Claude. Claude's really good for, it's one of the better ones for writing and for working on data sets, I think. Personally, compared to ChatGPT or anything. So I like to use Claude for stuff like this. One of the things that I am going to just show you is how to get from an Excel sheet or a CSV file of some your survey data. So you sent a survey out, you got some quantitative and qualitative feedback from your attendees. And basically what I'm going to do is I uploaded a fake CSV here of fake attendee data that I had. I used ChatGPT to give me a fake CSV of fake attendee data from a fake event. So this is, we're in it's
very meta.
Yeah, it is for sure. So I'm going to give it a prompt. I'm going to say, you're a customer insights analyst. I have no idea what that is, if that's even a job, but it sounded good to me. So we're going to read this feedback. We're going to cluster the comments into clear themes. We will flag anything urgent or negative. I think that's important. We all love to hear how great our events were. We want all the praise, but we also need to know what did not work. That says equally, if not more important, so that we can fix for the future. Pull any strong quotes. We could use as testimonials. That's good for slide decks and for ROI decks is, some qualitative feedback from some, director who said this was the best thing, this session was great. So we want to make sure we have some of those. And then summarize what C-level attendees versus ICs cared about the most. That's another thing that's important. So depending on your event, I'm thinking more of this is kind of like a user conference use case, maybe where you have a lot of different job titles there. So essentially I would run this. And again, this probably takes a minute or two to do, but for the sake of the demo here, I'm just going to show you basically what came back from it. So what it took from this theme in feedback here, and one thing that I would like to share really with everyone is not necessarily what came in here and actual the hard data and everything, but just some of the qualitative things that came back. So again, this has no context for anything, right? I just uploaded a CSV file and I said, give me information essentially. Yeah. And so it doesn't know that the event organization was the standout winner. Your CMO doesn't care that your event was organized. That's the expectation you have. So again, this is really helpful and this is a good starting point, but it's one of the most organized events I've ever attended. Again, that's just for me as a pat on the back, right? And it's my fake event, but that's not helpful or anything I'm ever going to put into feedback. So there may be some back and forth with the AI tool to kind of focus on different things. I also didn't go through all 50 line items in this fake CSV file, so I probably should have done that too. But there were some urgent issues that were flagged though, which is important, which is session timing problems. 4 people specifically mentioned sessions running long and overlapping. There were some insights, 9 out of the 50 that were C-levels focused on strategic value of the event, speaker relevance, and overall experience quality. They care about big picture and business impact. The ICs gave more granular feedback about networking opportunities, operational details, et cetera. The good news, both groups rated the event highly, 4.3 out of 5. So now I have a summary of all that data instead of going line by line and typing it out. So I gave it another prompt. I went back to it and I said things like, you are still a customer insights analyst that reports to the CMO. So now I'm giving it the mindset that you actually need to share this information with our chief marketing officer. Yeah. I want to get this slide ready because this is important information. I think if this wasn't a demo, I would probably go back and forth a few times and really get some of the hard numbers and hard data out here so that we could get it a little better. But essentially what it did was that Claude can't generate slides. It's just not something that it can do right now, but it can put everything into slide format. So I was able to take, here's an executive summary. You'll notice this is how a slide would look. This is how a slide would look. There's critical issues that we need to fix. That'd be a slide. That one we skip over real fast in our meeting. And then testimonials are also important. So again, it's all broken out by slides. So what I would do is I would head over to a tool called Gamma, and I would basically highlight all of this. I'd copy it. I would paste it into here. And we'll see actually how this goes because I didn't do this ahead of time. But Gamma is the slide generation tool I talked about earlier in the Creative Suite. And this is going to take all of this raw data and put it into slide format. So I'm going to generate, it says there's about 10 slides in here. Okay. So I'm going to click generate.
But I think it's key too. I love that you mentioned you're kind of daisy chaining over here. And look, it's already kind of doing it, but that's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm building slides right now, which is great.
Wow.
Yeah. And this will go on for a while. What I think that I love about this stuff is it also helps with just formatting. Like, how do I want to represent like this slide? And again, you'll notice things like, I haven't built this out properly, but like, this is not a slide size.
Sure. But you can go back and tell it, right?
Exactly. You can do that. Or what you can do is once we get through here, we've got the nice, like the way that this is built out. You've got this, the quotes and everything here, got feedback. Little things like this is just a nice looking slide, right? You know what I mean? Like the information in there, I definitely want to go in and edit. But what you can do here too is you can click share, export to Google Slides. I'd approve it. It's exporting to Google Slides, and now I can just move this whole thing over. I got to change the colors. If you have a Gamma Pro tool, an enterprise tool, you can actually upload your corporate brand template into it. So it can just.
I'm swimming.
So, yeah.
It's amazing.
So now I've got. See how it auto formatted that slide that was a little short into a slide deck. So now I've got a slide deck here.
Jeez. Wow.
10 slides. If you have a Pro tool, it can do more than 10 slides. If you don't, you can only do 10. But again, this is just an example of going from this with this. This took 30 seconds to turn this into. Again, I'd probably spend 5 more minutes editing it into this, and then into here.
Wow.
And again, I would go back and purple's not in our color palette, despite the color behind me. And there's some changes that need to be made. But look, I mean, we're in a slide deck here in 5 minutes from a survey. So
this is what we're talking about too. And you've done such a great job with like really bringing this home for us too, because it's like the things that could take you at least an hour or two to do, you can actually consolidate and again, using these tools and maybe just not one tool, but realizing what all works. And I know we're going to get to questions in a bit because we're going to make sure people know what tools are out there and stuff, but this has been fabulous. Thanks again to Chris Duke for joining us on Event Experience. And thank you for listening. If you're enjoying the show, we'd love to hear it. Connect with us on social and subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you're listening. Also, don't forget to share the show with your colleagues and friends. You can find transcripts of each episode and key takeaways on bizzabo.com/podcast. You can also access this webinar on demand by visiting bizzabo.com. On behalf of the team, thank you. We'll gather again soon for a new episode of Event Experience.